Hey, partner, got any creepy Japanese urban legends for me? You always know the darkest, most twisted underbelly of this country. Hit me with something that'll actually make my blood run cold.
A creepy story, huh? Very well. I'll tell you a legendary tale that everyone in Japan knows, yet not a single soul truly understands the sheer terror hidden beneath the surface. It's the story of Hoichi the Earless, a blind musician who, without realizing he was playing for ghosts night after night, was forced to perform secret concerts in a graveyard, only to have both of his ears ripped off by the dead in the end.
Wait, what? Every single person in Japan knows this story. And to cap it off by having your ears ripped off? That is beyond messed up. Where on earth did something like that even happen?
The stage is set at the western edge of Honshu Shimonoseki's Dan-no-ura. It's a blood-soaked battlefield where two rival clans once fought to the death, literally sinking a nation's fate to the bottom of the sea. Let me walk you through the chilling tale of an unmatched genius consumed by the lingering, inescapable grudges of the fallen.
I need to hear every single detail. If everyone in Japan knows this, it's gotta be deep history. Hurry up and tell me, partner.
Alright, listen closely.
It was late spring in the year 1185. In a quiet, aging temple nestled along the sea breeze of the western coast. By modern standards, it stands right next to the infamous battlefield, where the once mighty Taira clan perished, swallowed by the waves after a total war with the Minamoto clan. Today, the area is home to a bright vermilion shrine bustling with tourists, but back then, it was a desolate, haunted wasteland swept by raw ocean winds. Sheltered inside the temple lived a blind biwa Hoshi, a wandering lute-playing monk named Hoichi. Hoichi's skill with the biwa transcended human limits. Whenever he performed the tale of the Heike, the epic tragedy of the fallen Taira clan sinking into the dark ocean, his plectrum strikes sounded like curses echoing from the abyss. His mournful narration could freeze the very soul of anyone listening. It was an overwhelming mastery, powerful enough to move even the gods to tears. Yet, that very perfection became a gravitational pull, dragging him straight into absolute darkness. It happened on a hot, humid summer night. The temple priest was away, leaving the grounds wrapped in silence. As Hoichi sat alone on the veranda to catch a breeze, he suddenly heard heavy, echoing footsteps. "Hey, Hoichi." The voice belonged to a warrior radiating an otherworldly presence. Clad in pitch-black armor and carrying a chillingly sharp katana at his side, he spoke. "My lord wishes to hear your performance of the Heike epic. Come with us to the mansion at once." Hoichi was startled. For a high-ranking noble to summon him at this hour was entirely abnormal. Yet, whether driven by the obsessive blood of a musician or crushed by an inescapable, oppressive aura, Hoichi allowed the warrior to take his hand and stepped out into the pitch-black night.
Wait just a second, partner. Following a total stranger into the dead of night, just because you can't see? That's checking every box for a horror movie death flag. He's walking right into a death trap.
Well, given the circumstances, Hoichi's ears could probably sense that the air surrounding the warrior belonged to noble corpses. Besides, artists sometimes crave an audience more than their own lives, even if that audience isn't human.
Guided by the warrior, Hoichi walked along the stone pavement. Though blind to his exact direction, the feel of the ground told him he had entered the sprawling grounds of a magnificent estate. Heavy, ornate doors swung open, and the room was filled with an eerie, noble fragrance. Seated in the tatami room, Hoichi could sense countless presences surrounding him. The silent ghosts of the Taira clan were watching his every move. "Begin." At that single command breaking the silence, Hoichi gripped his biwa. The moment his plectrum struck the strings, a surge of energy rushed through his fingertips like a reverse-flowing torrent of blood. The freezing ocean depths, the unavenged dead washed up as corpses, the tragedy of the young emperor swallowed by the waves of Dan-no-ura. As he began to chant, the room erupted into unstoppable sobbing and howling grief. "Magnificent! I have never heard such a performance." The nobles showered him with praise. From that night on, Hoichi slipped away to the mansion every single night. By day, he rested quietly at the temple. By nightfall, the warrior came to fetch him. It was a dizzying routine, burning away his life force. Days later, the temple priest returned. But something was deeply wrong with Hoichi. He would sneak out of the temple every night and stagger back at dawn, completely drained. His hollow, wasted face looked like his very life force had been sucked dry. Suspicious, the priest ordered the temple attendants to tail Hoichi that very night. It was a pouring, stormy midnight. Relying solely on his white cane, Hoichi marched straight out of the temple gates. His destination was the outskirts of town, the ancient graveyard of the Taira clan. It was a pitch-black, desolate wasteland of weathered stone monuments lining the crashing waves. Hiding in the shadows, the attendants witnessed an unbelievable sight. Amidst the raging wind and rain, Hoichi stood completely surrounded by countless abandoned Taira tombstones, with no living soul in sight. At the center of it all, his eyes bloodshot and tears streaming down his face, he was frantically strumming his biwa like a madman, screaming out the final moments of the clan. Surrounding him was not a crowd of humans, but an army of lifeless Taira phantoms. If we leave him like this, his soul will be ripped out and his life taken completely. Horrified by the attendant's report, the priest turned pale and shook with terror.
Yikes. I knew it was a graveyard. A living guy getting forced to play concerts for ghost parties every single night is way past terrifying.
Exactly. Hoichi was so intoxicated by his own overwhelming talent that he didn't even realize he was being dragged across the border into the dark side of the dead. But the priest was desperate. To save his beloved pupil, he had to take desperate, life-saving measures before dawn broke.
The priest gathered his attendants and ordered immediate preparations. We must hide Hoichi's physical body from the demons. Under the priest's direction, they brought out ink and brushes. From the top of his head to the soles of his feet across his face, neck, arms, and legs they covered every inch of his skin with the powerful protective characters of the Heart Sutra. Black, dense scriptures completely enveloped his body. When they finished, the priest gave a stern warning. Listen to me, Hoichi. That warrior will come for you again tonight. But no matter where you are taken, or who calls your name, do not answer. If you make a sound, consider your life forfeit. As night deepened and the cold wind howled, the familiar voice of the warrior echoed through the temple grounds. Hoichi, are you here? The warrior entered the room. Hoichi curled up tight under his futon, holding his breath. His heart hammered like a war drum. Hoichi, you must be here. The warrior searched the room, but Hoichi was nowhere to be found. Naturally so, because his entire body was covered in the Heart Sutra, rendering him completely invisible to spirit eyes, leaving only floating characters suspended in midair. Puzzled, the warrior searched the room by feel. Reaching out blindly in the dark, his hand brushed against Hoichi's ears, because in their rush to write the sutras before dusk, either the priest had been careless, or it was a cruel twist of fate. Only Hoichi's ears had been left blank, missed by the brush. Ah, here they are. I cannot take him back like this, but these will serve as proof for my lord. With a cold whisper, the warrior drew his katana and sliced Hoichi's ears off cleanly at the base. Fresh blood sprayed, and though racked with blinding pain, Hoichi remembered the priest's warning and bit down hard, refusing to make a single sound. Clutching the severed ears, the warrior vanished back into the dark night. When morning came, the priest returned to find Hoichi covered in blood. Thanks to prompt medical treatment, Hoichi survived, though his ears were gone forever. Yet, this harrowing incident catapulted Hoichi's fame to new heights. He became known across the land as the legendary master who repelled vengeful spirits with his biwa. Nobles and elites scrambled to invite him, showering him with wealth and praise. Though physically impaired, Hoichi lived out the rest of his days in material comfort.
Whoa, so he lost his ears, but ended up super rich and got a happy ending? Still, I'm left feeling kind of mixed about it.
That's the irony of human nature and the harsh reality of life. Hoichi's talent was so immense that he crossed the boundary between the living and the dead. It was a reckoning of his karma, a man consumed by his creative drive and perfectionism, utterly blind to mortal danger.
Karma, huh?
Indeed. And let's not forget another lesson: no matter how meticulously you prepare and cover your entire body in scripture, humans are flawed creatures prone to the ultimate oversight, forgetting to write characters on the very most obvious place, your ears. True perfection does not exist in this world. By losing his ears, Hoichi was finally severed from the world of the dead and dragged back to the realm of the living. The price he paid was steep, but through that pain, he planted his feet firmly on solid earth and claimed true, lasting fame. Since ancient times, Japanese culture has woven a cool yet deeply empathetic gaze into this tale, embracing human imperfection, and a bittersweet gap between raw talent and madness. So, what about you? If a sketchy invitation came knocking in the middle of the night, would you have the courage to say no?
I wouldn't go near it. No matter how fun the music gig is or how cool the dark aesthetic looks, getting my ears hacked off is a hard pass.